sure, if you get the truck out there, it should sell, unless it's just garbage. So yeah, who knows? All right, I think you're going to talk to us now a little bit more about something that dovetails into what we talked about last week, right?
Yeah, I can
All
do
right,
that. Yeah, we can talk about
go
that.
ahead. You got the floor.
Yep. So the next one here comes some news about Virgin Atlantic, and you guys may remember we talked about a company that is doing EV VTOL stuff called Vertical Aerospace. We talked about them a few shows ago, and we talked about their aircraft, the VAX4. And we went over that. That was kind of a segment there. Well, this kind of dovetails into that to say also that Virgin Atlantic, they're exploring a partnership with Vertical Aerospace for flying taxis. And the way that Virgin appears to be going about this, they're not so much going about it as like transportation between vertiports for just general transportation and movement around the city or a city center or stuff like that. They're actually seemingly going about it to move people to and from major airports. Like literally, that's the more the thing. And we know if you know about companies such as like Blade Helicopters, they do that kind of thing as well. There'll be companies that have helicopters and they'll operate them as taxis to and from major airports for a service. So not a new thing to do with aerial vehicles, but that seems to be what Virgin Atlantic wants to do with them. So I will see. I mean, the second, I think two parts of that, right? Is that a segment that has people in it? Yeah, that's something that people do. But I think again, we talked again about the Vertical Aerospace and its design, the VAX4. So
where's it going to fit in?
I don't know. It'll have to have the same old problems. You got to have somewhere to put it. It's got moving rotors on top. You know, how's it going to be powered? Yeah, all the same
So here's
questions.
my thing. You remember, I guess it was about 12 years ago, right? 12, 13 years ago, everybody was on the very light jet craze, right? And Diamond and all these other clips, and everybody was jumping in on the very light passenger jet, and they were going to revolutionize the fact that if you had enough money and wealth, you would be able to go on an exclusive jet the size of what you needed to get from point A to point B, roughly 1,500 miles being the max range, and that it was going to change the marketplace. And then the economy collapsed, and that model just fell apart. Then you had these. Then you could buy fractional parts of a jet, which people found to be, well, we could take existing jets, which could last for a very long time, and purchase into them.
Yep.
I'm starting to see a small flaw in some of these. Let's connect small airports to small airports, right? Because let's face it, how many places have small airports to small airports that need to be connected? Well, you might consider like Midway, O'Hare, right? You got New York, LaGuardia, JFK. Maybe you got some out in California and other places. All right. So that business plan, how much saturation is it going to take to really quell that marketplace that currently only ultra rich people and mostly very, very wealthy people get on a Blade or something else? That cost prohibitive factor right there is going to be indicative to what really materializes in this marketplace. So like you, I'm very curious as to all those other added on costs of, well, now you got to build what? Like 6 landing pads at JFK, and another terminal for Virgin to handle their passengers that are going to take this. I think that some of this is a little ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It depends to see what their volume, what they're thinking they're going to do here. I mean, it is Virgin Atlantic, so they've got the infrastructure behind them in terms of like where they might already operate. So maybe these things would, at least at the airport, where they would land, they maybe just operate off the tarmac or the apron wherever the rest of Virgin operates. If it's got, I mean, you're not gonna, let's face it, you're not gonna land this thing at an airport and then pull it up the jetway and it's gonna have, land at one of the big terminals, the big gates.
You can't do that.
It's not for that, right? So it'd have to come into maybe like a normal GA, not GA, but a GA terminal, and then I guess you'd be trucked to the main terminal. I don't know. Those are all like kind of in the weeds about it, But I guess what we're trying to get at is, what's it actually going to look like when Virgin tries to implement? That's what we're kind of trying to visualize. How's this actually going to work?
On top of that, look, United has a service sector that they call global services, which means that they will literally truck you. You don't go back into the terminal. You get off literally at the gate. They usher you into an AMG. a Mercedes, and then they usher you to your next flight, and you don't literally see the inside of the terminal, and it's a very executive class service, right? And I could see United kind of pulling that off with something like this. However, what's really interesting to me is that, well, we did say that Vertical Aerospace was teaming up with, I believe, of all people, Rolls-Royce to bring out their version of what this was going to be. On top of it, it looks like they're also going to float their chance to possibly be on the New York Stock Exchange. So there were flotation of a value of 2.2 billion, but the caveat there is they haven't flown anything yet. And I think that's a massive valuation for a company that hasn't really produced an actual vehicle yet, or had successful trials that have actually proven that it's going to fly, and that there's a marketplace that's actually going to develop as a result of it in the near term, right? That's sketchy.
I mean, we're kind of in a big topic here about all the VTOL companies that have raised a bunch of capital. When we've done our research and looked, and none of them have, I won't say none, that's a generalization, but many of them don't have full-scale flying
No, they don't.
vehicles that have already had people on board.
Right.
Right? So, there's
that's a lot.
I don't know. Yeah, this is I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's.
Let me take that one. I can see that you're uncomfortable discussing that part of it, because I'm going to say one other thing. Okay. Well, but I have to, because look, you learn a lot more when you finally put people on board these things, right? And when you load them differently.
Oh yeah.
And what your center of gravity is going to do, and what life limited parts are going to wear out sooner rather than later, depending on how you loaded this aircraft and its common uses, right? So there's so much more to be developed in this entire place, in the conversation of what the eVTOL market's going to look like. I'm just open to the conversation about the challenges that are available to all the manufacturers, okay? Everyone included. But the difference is that to be staking it on the fact that you think that the market already exists, that people are going to just jump on board for these short hauls. And look, I think that this is going to be more for a unification device for other communities. So to see how this marketplace develops, hey, if you haven't paid attention, inner cities have not really been the most popular places that people want to live recently after the pandemic. Matter of fact, people are spreading out and they're broadening their horizons. I think that marketplace might change as appetite might change. So we'll see. We'll see how that happens. I just throwing that out there.
Yeah. No. I agree. I mean, it all comes back, like I said, that there's not people on board real world operations, whether it's wear and tear or whether it's batteries. If people go batteries, a lot of these manufacturers aren't going at batteries yet, which is probably a good idea as of now because of battery tech. It's just something we're interested to keep track of.
And I want to see how big these valuations are really going to be. I really want to see what's going to be the max valuation of these companies, how they achieve their overall value. Because look, I think of this from a Shark Tank perspective. Like you walking in and, Mark Cuban being like, so you're saying you have a 2.2 billion valuation. Well, we see this as being this size market. So how many people have you flown and what's your revenue? None.
Zero.
Okay. Shark Tank moment. That's when I see, like Mr. Wonderful turn around and go, get the hell out of here. You're coming to us with what you think is going to be a market, but you don't have a market yet. So everybody's running to S-Packs and getting their cash from certain areas. And I'm not sure if that's the most successful way to do it. I think you have to go grassroots with this one, but that's my feeling. So, hey, should we outro on that one as to where people? Yeah, that's good.
That's just.
I've made Corey well beyond his comfort level.
No, it's just it is what it is.
Anyhow, like, subscribe, follow. We're gonna continue to hammer the EV market and just be open and honest about what we see the challenges are. We do have a video of what some of the challenges we think are going to be in this marketplace, and I think we're going to have to revisit that, as now we've seen even more development of what people feel is going to be the next step in EV tolls and air taxi, but it's worthy of the conversation. So anyhow, we got some final stuff for you today, and it's going to be more about investment in gaming, a little bit